Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. In our top story, Governor Kenneth Mapp met with President Donald Trump yesterday to discuss further federal aid to assist in the recovery of the territory from both Category 5 hurricanes Irma and Maria. President Trump spoke on the resilience of Virgin Islanders and shared his support for the territory to receive a community disaster loan under the Stafford Act, which the territory will need the approval of Congress to receive. News 2's Stephanie Brown has more.
President Trump met with Governor Mapp and Puerto Rico's Governor Ricardo Rossello on the amphibious assault ship, the USS Carthage, in the Caribbean Sea between the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico to discuss relief efforts post-Hurricane Irma and Maria. And Trump highlighted the severity of the storms hitting both American territories.
And your people have been very resilient, and you've done a great job in already starting the rebuilding process. You got hit twice. You got hit very hard. 12 days. Yeah, in 12 days, got hit twice.
Governor Mapp further informed in a news briefing that he would be meeting with Brock Long, the administrator of FEMA, to inquire on immediate needs funding to pay contractors assisting with relief efforts. And the governor further detailed how federal monies were already being put to use, even though some said funding wasn't received as yet.
FEMA and Bill and his team obligated some monies that were destined to the Water and Power Authority so that they can begin moving more linemen and their equipment to the territory. But when I checked with Mr. Reimer before I left the territory this morning, that money had not yet hit the accounts of the Water and Power Authority.
On Friday, the governor will also meet with Lieutenant General Todd Semonite of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to ramp up the productivity of the Blue Roof program. The governor noted that President Trump expressed support to the territory in receiving a community disaster loan under the Stafford Act. This loan provides funding to help local governments that have incurred significant loss in revenue due to a major disaster. However, the territory will need the approval of the U.S. Congress.
Our current level of revenues, that loan could be anywhere from $220 to $230 million. In a number of the disasters, Congress's authorization for special community disaster loans for a number of jurisdictions, and I can go to Louisiana and New York and New Jersey and some of the others under Hurricane Sandy. They saw fit to do that, and we will make our case for that.
Now, the governor's daily press conference got underway around 6 p.m. Be sure to count on 2. We'll have highlights from that as well. Now, as President Trump was being briefed on the VI and Puerto Rico, VI delegate to Congress Stacey Plaskett appeared live on MSNBC. She discussed what she calls some discrepancies reported from FEMA. Here's more.
And the parts that weren't as damaged by Irma were hit by Maria. Are you getting what you feel you need from the federal government in terms of response and a plan to rebuild?
Well, thanks so much. And first, of course, our condolences to all the families and those affected by gun violence in America. You know, just today, if you recall last week, myself and Elijah Cummings wrote a letter to Trey Gowdy of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, where I'm a member, asking him for a hearing as to the disaster response of FEMA and other federal agencies in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Today, we had a briefing with FEMA officials with about 8 members of the committee, and there were definitely some discrepancies in what FEMA is saying that they are doing and what their plans are and what has actually been executed, and additionally some concerns about what they're capable of doing and what's actually occurring on the ground.
What do you mean by discrepancies? Where? Because the last time I spoke to you, we were actually in St. John, and your concern was when relief was handed out, whether it's between Florida or Texas or the Virgin Islands, you were committed to making sure the Virgin Islands got their fair share. Is your concern that they're not going to?
Well, my concern is that while we know that there's a massive amount of people on the ground from the federal government, DOD, resources there, they actually have not been dispersed to some of the more remote areas or areas where people need it the most. For example, we know that the Army Corps of Engineers has a Blue Roof program. We know that Irma struck St. Thomas and St. John on September 9th. The Blue Roof program is just beginning this week in earnest. That's an exorbitant period of time. And the briefing that we had was not enough time to find out, is that discrepancy actually at the Army Corps, or is that in fact with the local government not giving them the resources or telling them where to go to disperse that? Another example would be in terms of our hospitals. As you're aware, Stephanie, Irma knocked out the hospital on St. Thomas, and then Maria came and knocked out the hospital on St. Croix. We have evacuated all of our inpatients, dialysis patients, others, and we're operating right now. We're utilizing tents in which operations are occurring, triages is occurring before people are medevaced out of the island. That cannot continue. But I have information that while the USS Comfort is going to Puerto Rico, there is no military barge or medical structure that's coming to the U.S. Virgin Islands anytime. There is one on its way to Uganda, but not to the Virgin Islands. And I'm not clear right now if that is a function of the federal government or our local government. I know that our governor is meeting with the president in San Juan. Would have loved for him to have been in the Virgin Islands today, but I'm grateful that the vice president is going to be coming to the Virgin Islands on Friday, and I hope to be there with him.
Right. It is worth pointing out that the president has not gone to the Virgin Islands. This was supposed to be that visit. The governor's gone to Puerto Rico instead, as the congresswoman says. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, representing the U.S. Virgin Islands, thanks again for the constant contact that you stay in with us. We're going to keep on covering the situation in Puerto Rico and in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Count on to keep you updated. Again, that's courtesy of MSNBC, as the delegate appeared on there, and that was yesterday. Commissioner of Tourism Beverly Nicholson Doty said Tuesday, October 3rd, the government of the USVI/Department of Tourism, they coordinated the final mercy missions out of the territory. Commissioner Doty had said assessments of the readiness of hotels and attractions across the territory to resume operations are continuing, signaling an improvement in air services. She again thanked both cruise and airline partners for helping to evacuate close to 5,000 residents and visitors impacted by the storms. The commissioner reported a positive and productive debriefing with the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association, FCCA, and 5 of its member cruise lines yesterday, and that site visits were planned with the cruise lines this month. Nicholson Doty also said while airline schedules normalize over the next 2 weeks, American Airlines will serve St. Thomas with 2 daily flights from Miami and St. Croix with a daily service through mid-December. She said JetBlue would serve the St. Croix-Fort Lauderdale market with nonstop service over the next few days, pending the reopening of Henry E. Wilson Airport. Cape Air and Seabourn are expected to resume flights later this week between St. Croix and Puerto Rico. Both airlines are currently playing the St. Thomas-San Juan route, while Seabourn continues to operate between downtown Chaldetamali and downtown Christiansted. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump arrived in Las Vegas as law enforcement officials continue their investigation into Sunday night's mass shooting at an outdoor music festival there. Karen Kaifa is in Las Vegas with the latest on the president's visit and on the arrival of a key witness to the U.S. Here's more.
We're going to pay our respects and to see the police, who have done really a fantastic job in a very short time.
As President Donald Trump meets with victims and heroes from Sunday's deadly shooting, Las Vegas remains a city seeking healing and answers.
We're taking it slowly. You know, there's no map for something like this.
On Tuesday, the Las Vegas Metro Police Department released this body cam video of officers responding to the terrifying scene Sunday night.
Get down.
The sheriff said the gunfire rained down for about 9 minutes. The ATF says 47 weapons belonging to shooter Stephen Paddock have been recovered so far.
They were purchased in Nevada, Utah, California, and Texas. The gunman purchased rifles, shotguns, and pistols.
Law enforcement officials say Paddock collected the guns for more than 20 years. Investigators trying to uncover why he built such an arsenal and brought 24 to his hotel room here at the Mandalay Bay Resort. Last night may have brought them a step closer. Marilou Damley, Paddock's girlfriend, arrived in Los Angeles from the Philippines. Investigators hope to gain her insight into the 64-year-old retired accountant she shared a home with. Meanwhile, those who lost loved ones are thanking those who helped them Sunday and beyond.
You know, these people don't know their names. I'd like to thank them also. They were great Samaritans.
In Las Vegas, I'm Karen Kafa.
Keeping our eye on the economy. Before we do that, here's an update from Puerto Rico as well. A group of firefighters left Chicago for Puerto Rico Wednesday to help with the relief efforts in the wake of Hurricane Maria. They are volunteering their time and effort, giving up 10 days of unpaid vacation time. The firefighters are taking much needed supplies, including defibrillators, stretchers, and communications equipment. They will partner with officials in San Juan and provide all the help they can, they say. Most of the firefighters have personal ties to the island, including friends and family members who still live there. Chicago's fire commissioner saw them off at the airport on Wednesday. Keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the stock market watch at the New York Stock Exchange. According to the numbers there, we see the Dow up 19, NASDAQ up 2, S&P 500 up 3. Coming up on News 2, we have much more straight ahead, including an update from WAPA's restoration efforts. We'll be right back. Welcome back. FEMA and federal partners continue to support survivor recovery. The EPA is conducting environmental assessments of drinking water systems and regulated oil and hazmat facilities as needed in the USVI. To date, they say 101 public water systems on St. Croix has been assessed. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, through the Blue Roof program, is making forms available at ROE centers. To find an ROE center location, survivors can call 1-888-ROOF, that's ROOF, Blue. So that's 1-888-766-3258. To date, USACE has collected 1,332 ROE forms and has installed 46 blue roofs on St. Thomas and 17 on St. Croix. USACE is installing generators at critical facilities. To date, they say power teams have installed 18 generators in the USVI and have completed 121 of the 153 requested pre-installation inspections. The U.S. Postal Service is providing mail for pickup or delivery to post office boxes at 5 of 6 offices in St. Croix, 3 of 5 offices in St. Thomas, and the only office in St. John. Alternate locations are available to citizens where offices are not open. Well, here's an update from WAPA as they continue to work jointly with VIA, the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority, and the Department of Public Works on a cleanup initiative across the territory. The authority is also working alongside the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network, VINGN. Now, restoration updates are available both on the WAPA website, which is www.viwapa.vi, and on Facebook at the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority. Here's John Grillo with more.
Restoration crews on St. Croix worked Tuesday at locations including Hannah's Rest, Frederickstead Town, the LBJ Housing Community, Golden Rock, and Montpelier. Additionally, crews prepared poles with hardware and equipment in final preparation for the restoration of service by this weekend to a portion of St. Croix Feeder 6A from the Richmond Power Plant to Five Corners. Work also continues in Frederickstead on Feeder 8B. On St. Thomas, restoration crews continued work to energize a portion of Feeder 6A from the Harley Power Plant to the University of the Virgin Islands St. Thomas campus. Work also continues to restore electrical service to the Gladys Abraham Elementary School in Lindbergh Bay. Other areas targeted for restoration included portions of Feeders 8B and 7B. Sections of Berg's Home, Hospital Ground, and Sugar Estate were energized over the last few days. Work also continued on a portion of Feeder 8A to restore both the Banco Popular and Scotia Bank branches in Altona, as well as Calvary Baptist Elementary School and the Muller Elementary School. On St. John, crews continued to work in the Cruz Bay area, planting new poles from the Starfish Market along a route to Gina Hill. WAPA has removed electrical meters at locations where damage was apparent to either an electrical meter base or a weatherhead. In these instances, the customer is responsible for all repairs. WAPA will not reinstall meters until repairs have been made by a licensed electrician. A formal letter acknowledging the completion of repairs must be submitted to WAPA, along with a request for service reinstallation. All fees usually associated with the service are being waived during the restoration period. Customers are advised to make repairs to damaged weatherheads and meter bases as soon as possible. Once crews have reached your neighborhood, those customers who have not had their weatherhead or meter base repaired will not have service restored until the second level of restoration work. You're encouraged to repair your damaged weatherhead or meter base now to avoid a delayed restoration of service.
Now, of course, we can see some of those workers there on the job, on the poles in many areas of the island, trying to do what is necessary to get things up and running. We say kudos to those who are working around the clock to get power and electricity to residents. We hear from some of them.
I'm here representing Bryan's Electric Corporation with the restoration for WAPA, participating in restoring the poles, the broken poles and the lines that are down, and trying to restore people with power as fast as possible. We estimating, we pushing for probably a month, take a month. Once we could get the poles and stuff starting to plant and the materials and the pole, then it's just to put up the wire and energize and give the customers power.
Right now we are rebuilding feeder 6A. We're coming from the Harley plant. We're here in front of Limburg Bay Road. As you can see, we're energizing the lines. We're stringing them right now. They're going to be energized a little later. We're on our way straight to Fortuna, working for the people.
All for the people. It's all for the people. We're working hard to make it to Bodo, to get this power on. We try and get this thing energized for the people.
Good job to those guys there. Residents in Lorraine Village, located on St. Croix, received damage to their homes during both Hurricanes Maria and Irma. And many of the homes are infested with mold. The apartment complex is privately managed. And NEWS2 reached out to the property's management team in New Jersey that are working on a strategy to assist residents. In the meantime, some residents have received help from good community members, while others are waiting further for aid for a safe place to live. Here's more.
This is my apartment in Lorraine Village, where the hurricane destroyed. So we finally had to took it upon ourselves, get tarpaulin to cover the roof that was blown away. No help. We asked a stranger to come and do it, and he did it for us. Well, my neighbor and myself, we don't know his name, but she just, approached the man, and he came before to put the tarpaulin on. But what happened was that it started to rain so much. So he said they were going to come the following day. We asked like eight men, and they said they were going to come. But then the man finally took pity on us. He was passing to go visit somebody else, and he came, and he put the tarpaulin for us. Well, the people here, they are suffering. It's not really a coming together. Me and my neighbor, we came together. But the others, they have more extensive damage than us. The roof actually came right off. I've seen neighbors crying for help, and she's, especially one in the back, her child is sick with asthma, and she tried to go to the office crying, no help.
Count on 2 to keep you updated. Be sure to stick around. Your News2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
Good evening. We certainly are seeing a wet pattern heading in our direction. Here is a tropical wave. It's kind of unorganized, but it's certainly heading in our direction. So we're going to see an uptick in showers tonight. Friday is going to be the wettest day of our week because of this tropical wave. Now, take a look to the west of us. This is a tropical depression. We do expect this to develop into a hurricane, but it's going to be staying far off to our west. It'll be going through Honduras, Nicaragua, then through the Yucatan Channel here, and eventually into the deep south of America.